So there's a shift in the market here. Interest rates are rising. Everything we've known in the real estate market for the last year or two is all changing around here. So renters, first-time home buyers, is it the right time for you guys to buy a house? Well, I've got 4 things for you to consider and think about before you answer that question. So stick around and watch this video. Hey everybody, Chris McMahon here, eXp Realty, and we're talking real estate here. So this is your first time to my channel. Make sure you click that subscribe button so you get notified when new videos are coming out. Putting out a ton of videos all about real estate in the Saratoga and the surrounding areas. So you don't want to miss on any of the new information that we got coming out. And as always, if you've got questions, anything like that, reach out, get a hold of me any way you can. My information is below. You can call, text, email, whatever works out best for you. So reach out, get a hold of me. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Let's get back here and let's just talk a little bit about the 4 things that I mentioned. Are you ready to buy a home? So the first thing you want to consider, everybody's all concerned about the rising interest rates, and understandably, it's something to think about and take into consideration, but we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the video. All right, so let's go through the list here, these 4 things. Number 1, are you prepared? So some of you might have to be saying, yeah, I got the money for the down payment, we can afford to do this, everything like that, but it's more than just a financial commitment that you're talking about here. So you need to be prepared to be in the house for a minimum 5 years. 5 years, anything more than that is great, but anything less than 5 years, you may want to start to wonder, is it now the best time for you to purchase a house? But so say a minimum of 5 years, the down payment you're going to have, which we mentioned earlier, but also relationship status. How is that? Is that going to change? A career. Are you in a situation where you may be facing a career change, which may change where you want to be and where you want to live? So there's a number of different things that come into being prepared. And not only that, are you mature enough to own a house? Believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there who are not mature enough to own a house. You know, there comes a lot of responsibility. You got to take care of it, maintenance, upkeep, all that things, and it all costs money as well. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're talking about being prepared to buy a house. Number 2, we're talking job security. We talked about that, mentioned slightly a little bit before here, but job security. Are you in a position where you maybe the company may be downsizing or facing layoffs? Does your job pay you enough for you to not only make the payments, you may qualify according to the bank to make the payments, but there's more than just the mortgage you got to pay on top of that. You've got insurance, you've got taxes they got to pay. Sometimes you can escrow it so it's all lumped into one payment so you don't have to worry about it. But there's even other things on top of that, like we mentioned before, the maintenance, but there's also the utilities, heating, cooling, all that kind of stuff comes along with owning a house. So financially, you got to be prepared for that as well. And that's our number 3 thing, financially prepared to do it. Do you have enough in savings? Because you have to have a certain amount of reserve, or it's a good idea to have a certain amount of reserve set aside in the bank in case there's a rainy day. A lot of places you go online and check it out, they'll recommend you have at least 6 months of cash in reserves. That's meaning you could pay all your expenses, mortgage, taxes, groceries, utilities, being able to feed everybody for 6 months in reserves in the bank. Now that's just a general guideline. It doesn't mean you have to have that in the bank or you can't buy a house, but that's just some things that have been floated out there that you can be able to do. Also, your credit's going to have a big deal as far as what type of mortgage that you qualify for and what you could get, mainly the interest rate on the mortgage. If you got about a 740 or so or higher, that's really in the best range. Anything below that, then that mortgage rate might change a little bit. If you got a lower credit level than that, then banks will start to kind of look at you and consider you more of a risk. So your interest rate is going to be a little bit higher than somebody else who's got excellent credit. So take a minute to go check out your credit report. Right now you can go and check that with the credit companies, get a copy of that and start looking at it. If you find that it's a little bit on the low side, then you may want to take a little bit of time and start cleaning up your credit and get that bumped up a little bit so you can qualify for a better rate. Even 1/4 or 0.5% on a $300,000, $400,000 loan over 30 years can add up to quite a bit of money. So take a little bit of time now to check that out and see what you can do to improve that if there's some room for improvement. Also, make sure your debt, they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. This goes along with the credit. So if you're carrying a lot of debt, if there's some easy things, small little loans or something like that that you could pay off, maybe you got a motorcycle loan or something like that, only a couple $1,000 that you could pay off and get that off the book static too, will also help your credit and help you qualify for a better mortgage as well. So those are our first three things that we talked about here. Are you prepared? job security, are you facing a job change, anything like that, and also financially prepared as far as the money is financially prepared. And the fourth thing we're going to talk about is the one that everybody is most concerned about lately, is the changing market conditions that we're facing right now with raising interest rates and all kinds of stuff like that going on right now. And the question I'm fielding a lot is, is now a good time to buy a house? And my answer to that is, well, there's really no good time to buy a house. There's no bad time to buy a house. What you're seeing is market conditions. All you're facing is factors that are affecting the market conditions. And what you need to do is you need to be prepared. We're going back to step one. You need to be prepared, and you need to know what your strengths are in that changing market condition. So there are strengths and weaknesses to both. You need to understand what your strengths are and be able to capitalize on those strengths. As far as the rising interest rates, well, you're not married to the interest rates. What you're doing is you're marrying the house for at least a period of how long? At least 5 years, right? So what you're really going to do, interest rates raise and lower constantly all the time. They're never the same. So if the numbers work and it makes sense for you and your growing family, or to start off here to buy a house so you can build equity so you can reinvest that into another house down the road, if the numbers and the factors all work out, then the interest rate is something that is temporary. You can always refinance or streamline however your loan is later on down the road. If you feel like the interest rate at this time is a little bit higher, later on when the market conditions shift again and stuff like that, and those factors that we were just talked about, they kind of adjust and it's a different market condition and those rates maybe come down a little bit, you can always refinance. All right, but if the opportunity that is there to buy the house, then it's always a good time to get out there and buy the house. Like I said, you just need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So that's what we got for that one right now. If you have any questions, anything else that real estate related that I can answer for you, feel free to reach out and get a hold of me. Call, text, email, whatever works best for you. Reach out, get a hold of me. More than happy to answer those questions and get back in touch with you. So until the next video, guys, we'll see you later.